Franco blames it on his neurovirus.
Okay, yeah.
He's like, oh, I'm sorry, and then my neurovirus wiped this all out.
At least you guys have.
Be careful.
Yeah, Franco's isn't he great?
He's amazing. He's so
So everybody else is,
That's funny.
not here?
Correct. But we've got 4, so that's enough.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, at least you guys had some places to go, right?
Yeah. Perfect, I was starving.
Yeah, there you go. Cool. Okay, and the recording's going?
Yes.
Okay. So it being 6:30 on Thursday, March 6, 2025, I'd like to call to order the Standard Planning, Zoning, and Historic Commission meeting of East Dundee. Chris, could you call the roll?
Okay, Ryer Breyer, absent. Commissioner Myers,
Present.
present. Fleck,
Here.
here. Kruger, absent. Stenick,
Yes.
Scarpelli, absent. Chairman Bruner,
Here.
okay.
So it's 4-3, right? 4 here, 3 not.
Yes.
Yes. Okay. With the quorum being met, we can continue with the meeting. So our first order of business is the approval of minutes. We have 2 sets of minutes in our packet here today. Are there any? I would entertain a motion to approve the minutes from December 5th, 2024, as included in the packet.
I move to approve them.
Okay. Second. Any discussion? Okay. Chris.
Commissioner Myers,
Yes.
Commissioner Fleck,
Yes.
Commissioner Stenick,
Yes.
Chairman Bruner,
Yes. I'd also entertain a motion to approve the minutes from February 6, 2025.
I'll make a motion that we approve the minutes from February 6, 2025.
And I'll second that.
Okay, any discussion? Okay,
okay. Commissioner Myers,
yes.
Commissioner Fleck,
Yes.
Commissioner Stenick,
Yes.
Chairman Bruner,
Yes. Okay. Just giving you a sec.
pardon me?
Just giving you a sec to finish writing. Okay, so then on to our next item in our agenda, which is public comment. Is there anyone in the audience who would like to make a comment on an agenda or non-agenda item? Looks like no. Okay, moving on to our first item of new business. This will be a consideration of a certificate of appropriateness regarding Foxy's Hideaway located at 319 Myers Street. I believe this isn't a public hearing, so we can just, I think, go right into the applicant's proposal. And if you could state your name.
Yes,
and
good evening, Joe Condo.
Yeah,
Anastasia.
okay, great. So, so what are you looking to have done here?
The ADA ramp on the north side of the building.
Mm-hmm.
There's nothing there now, so we're looking, per our plans, we had a concrete ramp on our plans originally. We're looking at another option, 2 other options being a aluminum ADA ramp from an ADA company,
Okay.
or 2, doing a Trex deck, something that's not permanent right now, because in the future, we're not sure. We're gonna put a roof enclosure on it, and we don't know, how that's gonna jog out with any pylons or anything that's gonna go right against the building. So concrete would be something we'd have to tear out then, perhaps in the future.
Okay, great. Could it be put in the minutes that Lillian Brar, Commissioner Lillian Brar has just arrived
Thank
at
you.
6:34?
I came from Waukegan.
Yeah.
Never an easy place.
Oh my gosh.
So, yeah, so I mean, obviously that makes a lot of sense. I mean, with the aluminum one, if you did that, that would even be more temporary, right?
No, that's, excuse me, that is we'll have pylons into the ground.
Oh, okay.
So it will be a less permanent structure than concrete.
Yeah, yeah.
But it will be secured to the building as well as pyloned on the 5-foot pad into the ground.
Okay.
And the same with the Trex deck.
Exactly right, yes.
Yeah.
Is your plan to eventually have concrete, or are you kind of playing it by ear?
Well, yeah, we're gonna figure out what the outdoor
This way.
semi-enclosure is gonna be. We wanna roof it
Sure.
to the whole patio line, and then maybe put, like 3-season walls up.
Cool.
In that case, so if there is a concrete structure there, then the thing's gonna have to be moved out a little bit further to ensure that it's a good seal against the wall.
Yeah.
When that is put into place, perhaps.
Would it be fair to say that you're looking to get by for a season?
Correct.
Okay,
Yes, 100%.
cool.
So also in looking at your drawings that you provided here, it looks like the length of the ramp goes to the west. Is that-
Correct.
So so it goes well, then I guess past the back of your building is what?
Yes,
Okay.
22 feet. I
Yeah,
believe
yeah,
is-
okay.
yeah, Correct.
Yeah, so will it block this gate, I guess?
That gate will move down one
Okay.
panel, and there'll be a
Okay.
5-foot pad that
Okay.
coincides with the ADA rule to have at the end of the
Okay,
ramp.
fantastic.
Yes.
That makes a lot of sense. So then the gate will go like right onto the pad if someone wanted to come in that way?
We'll have a gate in the front.
Okay.
There'll be a wrought iron gate, just very similar to that's at Diamond Jim's. It'll be the same fence, so it'll all be uniform, and we'll have an egress at the front there.
Okay.
And that will kind of be for like deliveries and
Yeah.
back of house stuff.
Yeah, yeah, for sure.
That won't be accessible to the public.
Okay. So, when you're thinking of the Trex, like what I would imagine like a 2x6s.
Yeah.
Would you make it like the cream color?
We'd come with whatever color would be in agreement. We'd bring you samples.
Oh,
and
yeah,
see
yeah.
Which would be
Yeah.
most beneficial to match the exterior of the brick, which is an earth tone, and the building, which is a green color. So
Mhm.
something of a brown, we'll say.
Okay. Yeah, yeah.
Something will blend in. It won't be like fire engine red or anything like
Right.
that.
Right.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
no, it'll be something that will blend in and won't be such of an eyesore, so to speak.
Yeah. And then from a railing perspective, what were you thinking?
With the railings there, we'll either do a metal rail, which we'll have fabricated for that,
Okay.
which we could get from the ADA company. We could take their rails and fix them to the Trex,
Okay.
or a wood spindle railing.
Okay.
Oh, that's nice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The
So-
wood spindle.
Yeah, or we could do some kind of lattice on the exterior of it,
Mm-hmm.
you know,
I
something
like
decorative.
the traditional old feel.
Yes.
Yes. Uh-huh.
It won't, I mean, I don't want to get away from just the 1x1 spindles.
Yeah,
It's just
yeah.
pretty, we'd want to do something, either wood, maybe with a metal insert
Yeah.
in there as well. Again, these are all options we're weighing
Ideas.
out.
Mhm.
And then you also have, we see in the drawing here, there's like 2 steps going down, 2 or 3, but the height of that door seems,
Yeah, those steps there were for construction purposes only, for the
Okay.
guys going in and out. Those will not be there.
okay. Yeah, no, I'm saying in your drawing, like in
Oh,
in the drawing,
off the north side of the,
like right up going out the door.
yeah, that'd be the north end. So we'd have a spill off for people to come in and out of the patio.
Yeah, it just seems tricky with how little space there is that you could have 3 steps, but I guess.
That's up
What it is.
to the stair builders. They
Yeah,
know
okay.
that, and Chris, obviously.
Yeah, so
We
we
did
can,
the stairs at Diamond Jim's. The same guy will be
Okay.
doing the stairs there as well.
yeah, that's just building code for appropriate rise.
Right.
And at night, is there enough illumination for that ramp? For
Correct.
an
We're gonna,
88
we're gonna
person?
be adding illumination on building lights, so
Uh-huh.
there'll be sconces on the actual building. So we're gonna be illuminating that with the landlord, as well as patio lighting as well.
Okay, uh-huh.
So today's ask, right, is just, does anything sound totally out of line with what
Correct.
you're asking for?
Yeah.
So we're not approving the certificate tonight because you'll come with
Yep.
the renderings and the
Yeah.
actual materials. So, yeah. So with that in mind, is there anything else that you guys have?
What's the height for the railing?
Whatever,
Oh.
Chris,
The height of the
42?
railing?
Uh-huh.
Yeah, I believe it has to be 42.
Okay, just want to make sure it's
Yeah.
within code.
yeah, we'll have, that's what we have Chris for.
Okay, thank you, Chris.
So are you going to make a recommendation of what they should do?
Well, I was just wondering if you guys have any more questions before we talk about that.
No,
No
I'm trying
opinions.
to like see if there's anything else. No, no questions.
No.
It's
Pretty straightforward.
straightforward.
Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah.
it is. It really is.
So I would say of the 3 you pitched,
Yes.
without seeing what the aluminum would look like, I can really imagine what the Trex would look like.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that one, I'm
Yeah,
good with the
there's-
Trex.
Yeah.
The cement, if you did that and, match kind of like what they did at right next door.
Tequila valves,
That would
yeah.
also, I think, be fine,
Yeah.
right?
We'd
So-
color it. We
Yeah.
wouldn't do a natural
Okay,
concrete color.
very cool.
We
And
would,
then-
we would color that.
Yeah, and then, so the aluminum one, that's a little vaguer in my mind.
It's aluminum.
Yeah, it's just, yeah.
What's your opinion on the aluminum one?
I mean, the aluminum one's nice because it's
Okay.
made, it's 101 Mobility is the company
Mm-hmm.
that does it, and they're an ADA company.
Mhm.
So it is, I mean, to their standards, it's compliant and
Yeah.
it's structurally sound. I had one at my father's house.
Oh, you did?
Yeah,
Okay.
and it's very nice. It has the traction on it, has a nice aluminum rails. It's just that it's aluminum.
Sure.
There's no other color option on it.
Yeah, so they
That's
don't
the
like
downside.
powder coat it or anything like that?
No, unless we did that
Yeah,
in
okay.
addition to, which again, I
Yeah.
don't, we'll own it, so I guess we can do what we
You
want.
could possibly paint it black if you wanted to do like to
Right.
match the fence in front.
Exactly, we can make it
Yeah.
black, you're
But
right.
I feel like black is just gonna get chipped up and run right
Yeah.
off.
So
Yeah.
powder coating is an option
Yeah,
as
powder
well.
coating is the best way to go.
Yeah, like the rhino liners and bed liners, the same, it's pretty
Yeah.
indestructible.
But
So-
now if you had like an aluminum ramp, then the spindles would have to be kind of aluminum.
Well,
too,
those would be a loop system railing, so it would be a top rail around and down, and then two vertical, or multiple verticals going along, and then it would have a loop railing that goes like that, so it keeps people from spilling out of it,
Right.
and it gives them a handrail up on
Yeah.
top as well.
So, yeah.
I do have renderings from the company on that as well, I can forward
Yeah,
on.
they come in next
Yeah.
time. But yeah, I think kind of the Trex is kind of more traditional. or-
Yeah.
I
And
think
it looks
the-
really
Kind of
nice.
more
Yeah.
Trex.
Yeah, so I think that's kind of maybe, do you have something?
Yeah, no, I
to
was
add?
just gonna say that Trex has come a long way these last 15 years.
Yeah,
The quality, the look, the durability, and even the cost is better too.
and the colors.
It's gonna
A
The
lot
color
nice.
options.
Yeah,
mhm.
yeah.
That's great.
Yeah.
It's indestructible.
Yeah.
And
So-
it's structural too, yeah. The maintenance on it is really
Right.
good.
Well,
Mhm.
that's another thing, like, if we painted that aluminum black, you're gonna see every little
Mhm.
piece
You will.
of dust,
Mhm.
The
everything.
dirt,
Yeah.
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 No, I agree. I think it's the issue with the aluminum color. That's what's not feeling historic,
I
right?
understand.
That's kind of the vibe. So that's like what I would say.
Yeah.
My take is, and you guys agree or
Yeah.
disagree, is the cement
Yeah,
would just
yeah.
be almost like it's almost would be perfect. I'm sure what you would bring would be acceptable. It'll probably be the exact same way with the Trex.
Okay.
With the aluminum, there might be some more back and forth that we'd have to do. right?
Understood, and let me tell you, the
That's what I
cost, the
feel.
cost on the
Yeah.
aluminum is outrageous.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and you might be
And
the
it's
only,
gonna get higher.
It was $15,000, was the
Yeah.
quote for a ramp. I'm like, wow.
yeah. And from my experience of walking on those things and like pushing a wheelchair, which is the purpose of it.
Correct.
Doesn't seem, it's more of a residential thing.
Yeah.
Opinion maybe, but I think the other option would be
I
better.
agree.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
That's where
Cool.
we're leaning as well, either concrete or tracks.
yeah,
Cool.
great. Yeah. So I think it's what you feel is most appropriate for your building, and then I think bring them back, and I think
okay.
we'll know what to expect when you come
Excellent.
back.
Uh-huh.
So yeah, thank you for bringing I think really
Yes.
historically
Yeah, we
appropriate
appreciate it.
options.
Thank
you.
And
Yeah, so
What's
we're
your
gonna see
work?
whatever works.
Yeah.
And
yeah,
obviously, we don't want to do anything that just clashes with the
Yeah.
concept.
Thank
and
you.
yeah. Well, you have a
things
beautiful
like
building.
that.
Two
Yeah.
beautiful buildings.
It's a
Yes.
gorgeous building. It's
Yeah.
one of my favorite ones.
Well, they redid it nice, I'll tell you. It's
Yeah.
the best basement in town. I'll
Well, that's
tell
why
you
I
that.
say exactly. I remember I looked in there when it was up just on the lumber. When they moved
When
it
they
over.
moved it?
Yeah, it was crazy. I'm like, what? It only moved it like 15 feet, but hey,
Yeah,
it's
right.
Yeah. So you guys get a nice, deep, modern port basement in the downtown, the only
Yeah.
one.
I know, I wish I had it at Diamond Jim's.
Yeah.
Gosh,
Yeah. Yeah. Well, you have there, I'm sure, like another River Rock basement, right?
oh, you can see the decades, you can see
Okay.
like the 1900s cobblestone.
Wow.
Then it's like the brick, then it's cinder blocks, and then they just hoisted it up with 4x4s.
Yeah,
So you
yeah.
can see
He's
the,
tall.
I
Yeah.
love to see
I
that.
Yeah.
still duck every time I
Yeah.
go down there, I have some room. but
Okay.
it's
Oh,
not
wow.
bad.
Fun. Those are my favorite.
So, Chris, with this, do we need to? I mean, we're not doing anything for the board in this case.
No, it doesn't go to the board.
Yeah, so we'll leave it then with our official recommendation being we prefer either the concrete or the Trex.
Correct.
The aluminum isn't ruled out, but
We're
we need
ruling
more
it out.
I don't
information.
want
Okay.
It's ruled out, A,
Okay.
because it's aluminum, and B, the
Yeah,
cost.
perfect.
It's outrageous.
Perfect. So you got it? Or they'll get it out of the notes.
Yeah, he'll get it,
Okay.
he'll get it, yeah.
Okay, great. Well, I think then we're done. Thank you very much.
Thank you guys, have a great
Thanks for coming in.
evening.
Thank you as well. Thanks for
Thank
coming.
you. Thank you. I love your food.
Well, have you been to Foxy's yet?
No.
I've been there.
Yeah, it just opened like 3 weeks ago.
Yeah, just a couple weeks
What
ago.
kind of food do they have?
It's a martini bar.
Oh, okay.
It's
Check out the basement.
Yeah, and it's the
Food there, or is
basement.
They
it
did a
just
nice job with the
martinis?
basement.
I believe it's just
Just
drinks.
martinis? Really?
Yeah.
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 No, not just martinis.
Well,
There's other
just
things besides
other-
martinis.
other-
But I mean,
Alcohol.
it's all
Just
drinks
drinks.
Yes,
rather
it's drinks,
than.
Yeah, I think maybe you should go and get it next door at Diamond Jim's. They got the shared patio.
Ah, okay, they're
So-
doing kind of a black and gray type thing, huh? Where they
Yeah, a bit.
Serve the
Yeah,
beer, and if you want food, you get
Great
beer.
to see that, yeah.
Yeah,
And
so
their
it's-
neighborhood, nice, I like it.
very good.
It's getting better and better.
Okay, so then moving on to our next thing, and that is a presentation in regards to the draft historic guidelines that have been provided by, well, the presentation will be given by Todd. By Todd. So,
Is it on the screen or?
do we have that fired up, Chris? Or
What's that?
The, can we get the
Presentation.
presentation running?
You did send me a text, Uncle,
Cool.
Yeah.
whether or not,
I could give a swing at it, but
whether or
I'd
not,
be freestyling in there.
Yeah, well, usually, like, somebody has, a village employee has to log into that computer, I know that.
so it's computer's board.
It's the screen.
You're gonna go tech support?
What's the worst that can happen?
Not that I know of.
Yeah.
You guys see any controllers in there?
I mean, there's a mouse and the keyboard. Oh wait, there's this TV.
Yeah, I think. There, that's making it blink.
How about it?
It's right up there, I see the light blinking now.
I'm not sure
It's
if I
probably,
pointed in
uh,
the right direction, but.
You know,
Maybe
it's
got
heating up.
Heat up a little bit. to check it
Yeah, I
out.
just started unplugging things back there. Just
Yeah.
And there it's solid. There, yeah, it's coming up.
Oh yeah, I can see it. Okay.
There we go.
So while this is warming up, you're going to give a presentation. We're going to have an overview, and then we'll have some more time to review what you have.
Correct. So I'm just going to do a high-level presentation because I wonder if you put it on the desktop. So, there we go. Is this it? I have it on a thumb drive too, if it's not on the screen. Is the actual computer?
It is.
No. Well, at least it looks like we got a HP.
I love the package.
The what?
The package together, yeah.
Yeah.
It's coming together.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yep.
That's all about it.
Bunch of options to get to it. Right?
Oh, there we go. Okay. Wow, that's a lot of stuff.
E is what it said.
Yeah, it's-
Oh yeah. Okay.
Sweet.
there we go. Yep. All set.
Okay,
All right.
so-
Thank you, Chris.
Wonderful. Yeah.
So again, I guess now that I have the presentation, I can walk you through it. But so I'm gonna, today is mostly a high level, just to show you. Hopefully, you've actually seen the actual draft document. I think
Yes,
Marco
it's
shared it.
included in our packet.
Okay, great. So we're not going to go page by page or do it too much of wordsmithing, but I do want to present it so that you can all see. I'm not sure I can make this full screen, but. But we'll just do it from this. So we'll just do a general review of the process that we got to where we started and where we are now, a review of the draft document, and then talk about next steps. As you all know, we went through a multi-step process starting in the fall, and we had various meetings each month to go through the different chapters and different issues about the historic district, and talk about different things that you have expectations for, things that you want to change, things you want to add or include as part of those district guidelines. And that brought us to the end of last year. And then January and February, we started preparing the draft historic district guidelines, and again, that draft document is in your packets. And then today and through April is just reviewing that with you as the Plan Commission. And then if there aren't any additional changes or major changes, we present it to the village board. Hopefully in April, but I'll talk to Franco about that timing.
Yeah. So
'cause
the
I know
idea
you-
would be, we have it now, like for a month,
Yeah.
where we could look at it, and then we would approve, we would then recommend it to the board on our first meeting in April.
Correct, and you can send your comments to Franco,
Okay.
and then he'll
Right.
compile those, give them to me.
Got it.
We'll revise the document and then present it to the
Yeah,
board.
'cause I think we just got this like 2 days ago, right?
Yeah.
2
Yeah.
days
Okay,
ago.
so you'll need some time to
Last week.
review
Okay,
it.
yeah.
Sent it out.
So, but I will, as I said, just do high level of each chapter just to show you what the main idea of each chapter is and the main components. So just, again, this is the general outline of what's included. I'll go section by section to show you what's included in each. So chapter 1, it's just general information. This is more just kind of setting the stage of what the historic district is, the history of the historic district, and just general things just to frame why it's important to your community. So things that are included, so on the right-hand side, that list, it has a list of past resolutions and ordinances related to your district, a history and character of the district. It has the legal description, so you have the boundary of your district, so there's a legal description that relates to that. It hasn't changed. I know, I think one of the first things we talked about is potential to expand it or contract the guideline or the district. I don't think we landed on doing either. So right now, the district boundary that you have today hasn't changed. If it does change, the legal description would have to change too. So we'd have to talk to probably your legal counsel at the village to do that. But we could talk about that later. And then we talk about zoning, the different zoning districts that are covered in the district and so on.
So
And then
was-
definitions are also in this chapter.
Yeah, it was interesting. I know the zoning map, you went a little broader than our downtown.
I did just to show context,
Okay.
yeah, just in case, particularly knowing that the property south that's going to be redeveloped, you could
Yeah.
include that technically because it is
Yeah, yeah.
historic. So, but that doesn't have to happen today. You can always expand it, the district boundaries at any time. It doesn't have to happen as part of this process. Chapter 2 is more administrative. So we talk about basically your role as the Planning, Zoning, and Historic Commission. What are the procedures that go into, kind of like what you did today, about what goes into hearing an application for a certificate of appropriateness and then applying that to either approve it or to deny that. And then just the review process that goes into that. So that's what this chapter is mainly about, is that administrative process. Chapter 3 relates to existing structures, and all the standards in this chapter pretty much applies to most of the properties in the historic district because there are very few vacant sites, if any, in your historic district. So everything that's here is existing. So everything in this chapter would relate to that. So that's things like the building program. So what type of building it is, to potential for ground floor uses, whether that's office or retail uses or commercial uses. A lot of it's based on the exterior of the building. We don't talk about anything inside the building. That's more up to your building code as to what dictates that. But the exterior buildings, things like materials, scale, and detail. So materials could be everything from just the overall siding, could be things like cornices, window treatments, door treatments, and so on. But we also talk about the maintenance of the building as well, and also potential alterations that doesn't go beyond just general kind of upkeep of the building. One thing that we did do, and as part of this chapter, that's part of that kind of the exterior materials part, is looked at the color palette that would be preferred for your historic district. And we actually did an exercise last month where we had like a quick survey that was online, showed you a bunch of buildings that are currently in your historic district and showed what the general color of those were and asked you, do you like these colors, do you not like them, or are you neutral on them? So I think we had a total of close to 24 colors, maybe a little slightly less, around 20. And these were when we landed on the survey results, these were the preferred colors. So the colors that people really liked or liked a little bit, or even some were neutral, meaning that they kind of liked it, but weren't quite sure. So when we added all up, these, 11 colors out of the 20 plus colors were your most preferred. That doesn't mean, one thing to note is that doesn't mean like if someone comes, like if, for example, the applicant that was here today, if they had another building and say, hey, we want a color that's not any of these 11 colors, doesn't mean that you have to deny it. It just means that these are your preferred colors, but you as the PZHC have that purview to review any color and say, we like it, we don't. Like if it's a very garish purple. I mean, there's a purple building here, which I actually like. I'm not sure if you want all your buildings to be purple.
Right,
That's why
right,
it didn't
yeah.
make the cut. But if it was a shade of purple that you liked or that seemed appropriate, maybe it was a kind of an off color purple or something like that, then you have the preview to like it or dislike it.
I
and so
mean,
on.
I think having the palette's a really good idea.
It's
you know.
helpful.
Yeah.
Is it too late to add colors to it?
No, we
Like
can
a
add
sage
colors. I know there were 3 colors that were added, but since they were added, no one can really vote on them. So that's why I didn't add them to this main list. But if you have colors that you think would be
Begging
appropriate,
for one more color.
It sure is.
to get to
Like
a
lilies.
dozen.
It's snowman.
I feel
Yeah, I mean, I
gray is
think-
outdated.
You know, especially like with our buildings where we have a lot of multiple colors on a single building, you know, this could be really useful for someone who's looking for accents, you know.
Yeah.
That's true.
It's-
Yeah,
Yeah.
for sure. And then another thing is the colors that you see here, for example, like this red or this maroon color on the second line. It doesn't have to be that exact color. It could
Yes.
be a lighter
The
shade,
range.
a darker shade, and so
Yeah.
on. So this just gives a property owner a general sense of what's appropriate. We give them the color code, so if they wanted to get paint samples and do gradations of that, they can do that. So I thought this was really helpful, and I hopefully those who took the survey, hope you enjoyed it.
Yeah.
It was actually it's always a fun exercise because people like to
Yeah.
state their preferences. Chapter 4. So Chapter 3 is about existing buildings. Chapter 4 is about new construction or additions to existing buildings. So this gets a little bit more in depth about things to consider when thinking about new buildings in your historic district. So particularly if it's a vacant site or if you redevelop an existing building or like tear it down and put up a new building, you have to consider what does that new building, how can you design that? So we had guidelines for that. We talk about service areas, building height and massing. Massing is just kind of like the bulk of the building. Roof design is also very important. There's different, actually, I did a quick study of the various roofs in your historic district. You have variation. You have at least 4 or 5 different roof types. There might be more.
Really?
But I think you had like a variation of a mansard roof. It wasn't the entire roof, it was just part of a larger roof structure. So roof design is actually very important. Again, building materials, scale and detail, like cornices and so on. Lighting, we talked about. Some additional things that weren't talked about in the previous chapter were things like outdoor dining, like you'll see in the picture here. This is one of your newer buildings in your district, but they have outdoor dining. And some of your older buildings also have outdoor dining as well. So we talk about how that can be handled. Decks as well, which can also accommodate dining too, and then sustainability as well.
Yeah, I think there's going to be quite a bit of feedback on the lighting. There's a lot of stuff in the lighting that I wasn't anticipating.
Yeah.
You know, a lot of description. And then the outdoor dining pieces as well, especially like the like igloos or things like that. I don't remember what term you used.
Yeah.
You know, winter and the dates that they're allowed, things like that. So, yeah, I mean, it's really, I think, comprehensive in those areas. So, anyway, I'm expecting feedback in those areas.
Yeah, for sure. And we'd love
Yeah.
to hear all your feedback.
And
on it.
especially, you know, with the Christmas lights and having the time period for the Christmas lights.
Yeah.
But we do have them like up in our trees and the village runs those, you know, in the park year round.
For sure.
So, anyway.
Yeah. And then stuff like lighting and so on, even if we don't say like when they can be up, like time periods. Usually your zoning code or your municipal code covers that, so they work in tandem. Chapter 5 is about demolition. Hopefully this is a chapter you don't use often, but it's there because you do need it just in case you do need to figure out if a building needs to be demolished. So we talk about the different criteria that you have to look at to decide if demolition is the absolute best option for a certain property, and then procedures to go through that process if an applicant is coming forward with an application for demolition.
Which we're expecting in the near term.
Yes.
So.
Chapter 6 is about signage. So this, you do have a sign code in your municipal code already, so this actually takes it a little bit further and applies it a little more directly to your historic district. So it talks about historic lighting, sign lighting. There's different things that you can do, some potential modifications of your sign code that are more relevant to your historic district. Sometimes there's things that are like non-conforming signs. Some of those are like ghost signs, like if a sign was there and they took it down, but you still see like the outline of it. How do you handle that? And then wayfinding, gateway, and destination signage. Ironically, you did a concurrent process. I'm not sure if it's finished yet, but this was the gateway and wayfinding signage that the Gary Weber Design Group presented to you. It's actually really nice. So I worked closely with the representative there. I asked him if we could include some of the renderings in this document, and he said, yeah, that'd be perfect. So it may change from now. I think he said they're probably going to modify it a little bit more, but so this is just kind of gives you a general sense of what it looks
Those
like.
had gone to the village board meeting, a few months ago.
Yeah, and this is not all of it. This is like
Yeah.
only one or there's a few other designs that they show. So.
So this is like the, entry into the historic.
Yeah, it
district.
looks nice. I
Looks
like that
Fun.
round east end
Yeah.
design.
As do I.
Yeah.
We have a lot of LED that is very bright.
Oh yeah, just make it just all white LEDs.
Oh, gosh.
Let's see, chapter 7. It's called site and setting. I know that's kind of a weird term, but it's basically anything that's non-architectural elements that are related to kind of the architecture or building structure. So things like fences and walls, fire escapes. Parking is also very important, whether it's on-street, off-street. We also talk about bike parking as well, because you do have the Fox River Trail, which gets you a lot of people coming to your downtown, to the historic district. So we wanted to make sure that bike parking was in there. Landscaping, barrier-free accessibility. That's actually what you were talking about with the applicant before this presentation was the ADA ramp. So we talk about that. And then art displays and seasonal decorations as well is also covered. And then the last chapter is about public improvement. So this is basically anything within the public realm. So that's the street right away or the riverfront. So we talk about things like street furniture and other amenities like banners, benches, and so on. Treatments for sidewalks and paving. Your municipal code covers a lot of that, but we do talk about it a little bit in reference to the historic district. We talk about the bridge in terms of maintenance and restoration. I know you share that bridge with your neighbor to the west, so that would entail some cooperation and also
It's both bridges are kind of covered in the bridge. It's bridges in general.
just bridges in general.
Yeah.
We don't specify.
We have a pedestrian bridge. as
Yeah. And then the riverfront as well is like, how do you kind of, if there's properties that face the riverfront, that you want to make sure that you kind of engage the riverfront, you don't turn your back to it, because
Yeah, this bridge, I'm thinking of it, neither of the bridges are actually in the historic district, right?
this one might touch it, but we do include it.
That's the zoning map, right? Oh no, that's the zoning map? It's that one?
Yeah, there's.
It doesn't make it to Main Street.
Oh, it doesn't.
Well,
extend
it's-
in.
Right, it excludes, oh no, it is, I'm sorry, it does, it goes on the other side. I always thought no,
Are you
I'm bad, yeah, so it's.
Are you saying on the south side of Main Street?
Yeah,
Yeah.
so there, yeah.
Well, so it is.
It is, yeah,
Okay.
so it is.
Even if it wasn't, so even if you decided to expand your boundary to
Yeah.
include the bridge, you have the guidelines to cover that. So.
Yeah, it's in pretty good shape. I think
Yeah.
Last time
So that's all the 8 chapters, and then next steps is basically to give you time to review it, provide comments, and then from there we'll revise the document based on your comments. and then we'll present it to the village board at the appropriate time.
Fantastic.
Is there an adoption phase of this that we're going over? Are we adopting this?
Yes, that's what, so this next month, we review it, put our feedback in.
Okay.
With our perspective.
Sure.
And then we will vote in our next meeting whether or not to recommend adoption
Okay.
by the board. And then the board gets to adopt it or not.
Sure.
But yeah, we get to get all our input into it.
So if we're gonna make input and make changes, add, subtract, what have you, it'd be this meeting or next meeting. That's it.
Yeah, so what, since this is just, yeah, so this is like just being introduced to us. So really the way I look at it is we have a month to build our feedback, you know, and he said, Todd said we could just email it to Franco throughout the
great.
month. So like if you've got a day when you're like
Yeah.
pounding it out, just email him all your suggestions. And then we'll probably ask Franco when, or Todd, you could maybe do it at the time, present all the combined revisions.
Yeah, we
You know,
can summarize
that's what
it.
we'd want to
Yeah.
review the revisions that we wouldn't have all seen.
Yeah.
And then be okay with that. You know,
Yeah.
we should all have a good understanding of then what the content really is.
Right.
Yeah.
Because I think maybe Steve I think went through it all already. But I went through, yeah, I took an hour to go through it,
Yeah.
so not enough for 50
I have to
pages.
get-
Sure.
really.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, this is great that we have a month, and I think
Yeah.
that's really appropriate.
Yeah, it'd be great if you just sit down with it and just kind of jot down your
Yeah.
notes and share it with Franco and.
Yeah, I would
Maybe just one thing that I'd bring up, I know you have like different pictures in here and things like that, but some of them aren't really East Dundee, they're kind of a generic type picture.
There was one we
Oh, there's one
identified.
for a garage
Yes,
door.
yeah.
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 Yeah, so
Maybe
that's.
take a picture of the inside of black and gray, because they have the,
Yeah.
you know, the garage.
We can do
I mean,
that.
just so everything's our village. and
Local.
not
Yeah.
generic.
Yeah.
Be nice.
Good thought. Yep.
Other than it's a bad time to be taking photos. Maybe it'll look better in a few weeks.
I mean, you could still approve the document
Right,
like in
yeah.
April,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
then we could always
Or
replace the
just make a
photo
note to
in the
update
spring
them or
later when it's
whatever.
nicer. So.
And I noticed that none of this is private properties, right? Is that something that you kind of see sometimes? You know, if we have 150, 160-year-old buildings that are privately owned, residential, do they ever get adopted into this?
It does. If your historic district has like residential properties, yeah, it would cover that too.
Yeah, we have a, and there is in there already. I mean, it may be after we adopt this, we would want to look at the verbiage again, but there is verbiage in our ordinance already on how to add new properties to the historic district.
Okay.
You know, it talks about even I think like people like a street at a time, like voting for it or something.
Yeah.
But you know, it'd be pretty much like if 80% of the people on the street wanted to do it, they would do it, and they want it to be contiguous. You know, they don't want it just like
Spotted.
piecemeal.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sure.
But yeah, and that really could be something I could see folks wanting to do if this really becomes a sense of pride for the village.
I see that, you know,
Yeah.
hey, any building that's over 150 years old, that would be
I was
adopted
just
into
going to
our...
ask that question. What would qualify a building to be historic?
I see that as a benefit.
Yes.
You know, we have these homes, I think it's part of our heritage, part of our history.
Yeah. So the thing that we could also look at doing, which I don't think was really included that much in this, but maybe it was. There is the Dundee Historic Society, right? And they issue those plaques you see on
Yep,
people's
that's exactly what I'm
houses.
thinking of.
Yeah.
Yeah, we
So-
talked about that in the.
Oh, it is. It is.
We talk about like if you wanted, if a property owner wanted to have a plaque, what process could they do
Yeah,
to
I
do
would like
that?
to do that to my house.
You should. Your house has a lot of history.
Yeah.
Or if you demolish a historic building because it was becoming
Yeah.
a public health issue, there's a way to commemorate that old building
Yeah.
with a plaque.
So these historic commission plaques, I mean, we could say that, you know, that then that's a different class of building. I don't know if that's something we would ever want to distinguish, or it's just something we should always make sure is heard when it's a plaque building being, you know,
Yeah, we didn't
modified.
really distinguish between if it was like a national register historic
Yeah.
building or a state recognized one or a
Yeah, it's just our
a county one.
our community. They're pretty, you know, they don't give it to everybody, but yeah, I think it needs to be 100 years old was what it was when I moved into town, and then they have to come and look at it and say, I think it generally looks like it looked.
I'm
You
going
know,
to start the
before-
process.
Yeah.
Why
Yeah,
not?
yeah.
Okay.
But I mean, I think, I kind of have that gut feel like it would be a nice thing for us to, over time, designate. So downtown, it is our whole historic district. There are ones that are more important than others. And I think, you know, like we have one, there's the tiny little like barber shop building.
Yeah.
You know, that one is a cinder block square building.
Yeah, it wasn't built well when the other ones were.
Yeah,
Or
yeah.
the big, you were talking about that mansard roof. I think you were talking about that big bowstring trust building that's
It
on
might
the
be.
south side of Main
Yeah.
Street, and it's chopped up into different.
Yeah, so it
Yeah.
had different roof lines. and
Yep,
different roof
exactly.
patterns, yeah.
That wasn't always there. There was
Yeah.
probably more downtown buildings type, but it still should be in our historic
Yeah,
district, and it
yeah.
is.
And
That's
it-
great.
Yeah, yeah. So like, though, you know, obviously, I think we really have a lot of value in the, you know, the brick buildings on the east side of River Street, right? That's when you think of those, the nice wall of, you know, old
Yeah.
buildings. Like messing with those buildings is maybe more significant than messing with, you know, a building on the other side of Main Street, or
Right.
the, you know, one that clearly isn't an example of the historic architecture, even though it's in the historic district.
Yeah. Yeah, and it doesn't necessarily have to be the building itself that makes it historic. It could just be that
The
a
land.
certain piece of property is just, that was around when East Dundee was becoming
Yeah.
a community. For example, like the building with the umbrellas, I mean, this building was built recently.
Yeah, yeah.
So it's not technically historic, but the
Right.
property itself has been part of the historic kind of character of East Dundee.
And,
so-
Yeah.
and I'm sorry to go back, maybe this is too far for the other members here, but what are the benefits of adopting a piece of property into the historic district?
Like expanding the for I guess for the property owner, they get kind of greater coverage of kind of preservation of their property as having historic value. They get kind of a greater sense, for example, like the sign code. The overall village's sign code would apply, but the historic district also has kind of more specific sign code regulation or standards that would be applicable. So that might be something that that property owner might value more
Sure.
than not being in. So there's different reasons why. But I think that it would be more kind of the village's decision. A property owner could approach you and say, hey, I want to be in the historic district.
Yeah.
But it's up to you all as
Yeah, 'cause
officials
someone-
to decide that.
I could definitely see, you know, if it's like your house, let's say, you know, and you really love your house, and you have your nice historic house, and your neighbor's a nice historic house, and then your other neighbor's a nice historic house. By putting you in there, you're pretty much guaranteeing your houses are always going to stay looking historic. Someone can't come and just tear one down and put up something weird, or go and totally change the siding to, you know, something that doesn't
Radical.
fit. Yeah,
Yeah.
you know, it's going to make it kind of maintain that character. So if you like in general living in that area, I mean, that's why it has to be a whole, you know, it makes sense for a street. I think it really would. You know, you want your little neighborhood to be an old town feel, right? There's clearly going to be some places where they want to do, you know, modern architecture and whatnot in town.
Yeah.
You know, and I mean, obviously, I want to have both, right? I want to have places where people can do whatever they want, and then, you know, places where we can kind of, you know, consolidate this historic charm that we have.
Yeah, is that limiting builders? Say,
Yes. Yeah, definitely. The historic district puts additional restraints,
yeah,
constraints on builders. That's
Yep.
what it does.
okay.
But yeah, so
Yeah, for example, there was in Aurora, they actually removed a block from the historic district because that property became a lot more suburban and it didn't really fit kind of the historic character
Yeah.
of the downtown. So they said it changed. Does it really fit? So they removed it.
And that's, yeah, and I think that's a perfect type of thing that could happen. I mean, if we're establishing a historic district, it's because we believe it's important to have a consistent historic area right now. That can clearly change if we decide over time it's too big of a burden on builders for us to have this. I mean, we could abolish our historic district.
Yes.
You know, and let people do it. Right now, I think the choice is, though, people like our historic district.
Totally.
And we have, you know, tenants and businesses that are doing this. They're fixing like that building. They built it to look historic.
Right.
It costs them more money.
Right.
You know, but they recognize, I think, the type of people who are going out to these businesses like the charm of our downtown. So it's kind of like a mutually, you know, assured type of thing. They all want to do it because they want the other people to do it.
Right.
You
Yeah, if
know?
anything, I think the historical district should grow.
Yeah, okay.
That would be nice.
And,
Yeah.
and to do that, do we need to vote on that? Or do we just email him and then,
Oh, no, because it's a legal description and it's going to be in our ordinance, that would have to change.
Yeah,
Right.
and that doesn't necessarily have to happen in this timeframe.
Yeah, yeah.
Like it could happen next month, could happen next year.
Because
Yeah.
that legal description he included in there, that's coming right out of our ordinance.
Right.
That's in the East Dundee ordinance.
So if you were to add 2 more blocks, then the legal description would have to describe how the boundary has to box in those 2
And then it all
properties.
applies, yeah. So
Yeah.
the board would say, we want to change the description. As soon as they do that, then those things are technically in the historic district and they'd be, whenever someone went to do a change, Chris would make sure that they now follow the historic rules. That's, yeah.
Yep.
So yeah, it's, and you could clearly advocate for people wanting to do that. I think we could
Yeah.
probably convince people that it's a good idea to grow it.
I have an idea of a plot of land that should be in the historic district, right? I
Yeah,
have a few on my mind.
yeah. Yeah.
I like that.
Yeah, I love the historic stuff. And I think here you saw the folks who came in earlier, right? Like, they clearly want to keep their buildings looking
Right.
like how they've been looking.
Yes.
So it's perfect.
Yeah, I think you're right. That people who are in the historic district, owners and business owners, I think they understand the value of maintaining that, because the reason why you built up the historic district is for that preservation. And most people, I would say a good portion of people, if not all of them, buy into that. Because if they didn't, they'd be like, well, I'll just go on to Route 25 instead.
Yeah, right, exactly.
Where I can build like whatever.
It's a thing that makes us unique, it's,
Yeah.
when people ask about East Dundee and, why I'm so excited about what we're doing down here, it's, this is something we have really unique that they don't have out to the west. Out to the west, we're getting tons of new development, right? Now, lots of subdivisions coming out, like Pingree.
That's right.
How many people are in Pingree now? Like,
Yeah, it's quite
30,000 people, and they,
Wow.
and there's no like real downtown. I mean, this is going to be the town feel, I think, for a really large
And
area.
people want it.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes. Otherwise, they could go to Randall. I mean, if they don't want to come here, they can, go,
Yeah.
to,
Go to a chain store.
on Randall. Yeah. There's plenty of options between here and there.
Yeah,
This
for
is the
sure.
first one that's an old downtown, though.
Yeah.
All right.
Great.
Yeah, fantastic. Well, thank you very much.
you.
Tom.
Thank you very
Thanks for your
much.
time again.
Thanks for
No worries.
coming.
Yep. Appreciate it.
Okay, so then moving on to our next order of business, staff reports. Chris, anything you want to share?
No, there isn't.
No? Okay.
All right.
Well, then I will entertain a motion for adjournment.
I'll
Second.
second that.
Okay? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Okay. We're adjourned.
Thank you.
Thank you, Chris, for being here.
Welcome.
Thank you for coming
Thank
again.
you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Oh, yeah, so cool. Which properties do you want? Did you turn off the recording yet, or is it still running?
It's still running.
None. The ones that on the list that I think are interesting that I wouldn't have thought.
I'm
it's
gonna
still
open up my
those
computer
really
now.
far ones to the north.